and praise his holy name. Yeah, 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 yeah. Yes, we enter, yeah, yeah, into his holy presence. We will worship God and praise his holy name. As we enter into your holy presence, oh, we will worship God and praise his holy name.
And welcome to Alethea Baptist Church Christian Enrichment. Our Sunday school lesson today is Jonathan attacked the Philistine outpost. And by the way, happy Father's Day to all the fathers. Lesson text is 1 Samuel 14, 1 through 13. The time is 1041 BC. The place is Gibeah past Mishmash. The golden text, and Jonathan said to the young man that bore his armor, "Come, let us go over, for there is no restraint to the Lord to save by many or by few." Our lesson outline, a secret reconnaissance. 1 Samuel 14, 1 through 5. An audacious plan, 14, 6 through 10, a conclusive victory, 14, 11 through 13. We're finally out of the book of Romans. Paul put me through some loops. Paul said one time, he said I was dead. Then Paul said I was alive. Then he said I was dead. Then he said I was alive. I said, Paul, which one is it? Am I dead or am I alive? He said both. He said, you dead unto sin and you're alive unto Christ. Our lesson today is from Samuel. 1st and 2nd Samuel is a history book. History books are designed to reveal unto us God's character and the power of God. Samuel is the author of 1st and 2nd Samuel, Ruth, and Judges. Samuel records 150 years of Israel history. Samuel served 40 years as Israel judge and prophet. Samuel was the last judge and the last prophet to serve as the nation's leader. In chapter 12, Samuel is in his early to mid-90s. He is stepping down as the nation leader. The people has asked for a king, and Saul is being inaugurated by Samuel. Let's look at it at 1 Samuel 12, 13 through 22. Now therefore, here is your king whom you have chosen, whom you have desired. And take note, the Lord has set a king over you. If you fear the Lord and serve him and obey his voice and do not rebel against his commandments, the Lord then both you and your king who reign over you will continue following the Lord your God. However, if you do not obey the voice of the Lord, but rebel against the commandments of the Lord, then the hand of the Lord will be against you as it was against your fathers. Now therefore stand and see this great thing which the Lord will do before your eyes. Is today not the wheat harvest? I will call to the Lord, and he will send thunder and reign, that you may perceive and see that your wickedness is great, which you have done in the sight of the Lord in asking for a king for yourselves. So Samuel called to the Lord, and the Lord sent thunder and rain that day, and all the people greatly feared the Lord and Samuel. And all the people said to Samuel, pray for your servant to the Lord your God, that we may not die. For we have added to all our sin the evil of asking a king for ourselves. And Samuel said to the people, do not fear. You have done all this wickedness, yet do not turn aside from following the Lord, but serve the Lord with all your heart, and do not turn aside, for when you would go after empty things which cannot profit or deliver, for they are nothing, for the Lord will not forsake his people for his great name's sake, because it pleased the Lord to make you his people. He said it pleased the Lord to make you his people. In chapter 13, Saul has been king now for about 2 years. He had a standing army of about 3,000 men. 2,000 with Saul at Michmash, and 1,000 with Jonathan at Gibeah. Gibeah was the capital of Israel. Jonathan attacked the Philistine garrison with a great defeat. A garrison was about 20 soldiers. Some escaped and reported the news. The Philistine army encamped 4 miles from Gibeah, Israel's capital. They strategically stationed 3 garrisons of soldiers a half a mile from Israel's capital and boxed them in. The Philistine army gathered together to fight against Israel. 30,000 chariots, 6,000 horsemen, foot soldiers as the sand of the seashore. This was a massive army. When the men of Israel saw that they were in dangers, the people were distressed. They began hiding in caves, in thickets, in rocks, in holes, in pits. Some crossed the Jordan River to the land of Gad. They left the country. Israel has awakened a sleeping giant. And that brings us to our lesson for today. The lesson outline, Roman numeral 1, a secret reconnaissance, 14:1 through 5. A reconnaissance is a military observation of a region to locate the enemy. Verse 14:1. Now it came to pass upon a day that Jonathan, the son of Saul, said to the young man that bore his armor, come, let us go over to the Philistine garrison, that is on the other side. But he told not his father. Armor bearer is a biblical reference to the one who carries the spear and the shield of a warrior. Also, he has the responsibility to protect the warrior's life at the expense of his own. Same as the president's Secret Service detail. They are to protect the life of the president at the expense of their own life. Jonathan did not tell his father what he was about to do because he knew his father was walking in disobedience. Samuel told Saul to wait in Gibeah for 7 days. On the 7th day, Samuel would come and offer sacrifice to God and seek the Lord for an answer how to get out of this conflict. Out of fear of the Philistine massive army and his soldiers abandoning him, running into holes and caves, and some leaving the country, assuming that Samuel was a no-show, he offered sacrifice. Only the priest was to offer up sacrifice according to the Mosaic law. When Samuel arrived, he said to Saul, "What have you done?" In other words, Samuel said, "Saul, do you realize what you have done?" Saul gave several sorry excuses. Samuel said to Saul, "Because you have disobeyed the Lord, your kingdom will not continue." That means that Jonathan would never be king. Also, God told Saul, if you would have obeyed my voice, I would have established your kingdom forever. That means that the Messiah would have came through the line of Saul. Jonathan knew that God's favor was no longer on his father's life. That's why he didn't tell him. 2, and Saul tarried in the uttermost parts of Gibeah under a pomegranate tree, which is in Migron. And the people that were with him were about 600 men. The pomegranate tree served as Saul's command center. This is where information came in and information went out, strategizing, decisions were made. Migron served as an outpost to the capital. The name means a place of fear. It is amazing that this place, Migron, served as an outpost, is still in Israel today. It's located in the West Bank. It's the largest military outpost in Israel. It's in operation right now. 600 men was with the 600 men. The ones that was left from Saul's army of 3,000. The rest ran into caves and holes. Chapter 13, verse 19 tell us something very interesting about these 600 men. They had no weapons to fight with. All they had was farm equipment, plowshares, mattocks, axes, and sickles. Dr. Evans said that the Philistine had rid the Israelites of their blacksmith is the reason they didn't have any weapons. And 19 said that there was no blacksmith to be found in all of Israel. The blacksmith was responsible for making weaponry to fight with. Only Saul and Jonathan had weapons. The Philistine had strategically, it didn't tell how, but they removed all the blacksmiths from Israel. That's why they had no weapons. And 3, Ahijah, the son of Hatub, Ichabod's brother, the son of Phinehas, the son of Eli, the Lord's priest in Shiloh, wearing an ephod. And the peoples knew not that Jonathan was gone. Ahijah, he's the one that's wearing the ephod. He is Eli's great grandson. Ahitub is Eli's grandson. So is Ichabod. Ichabod's name means the glory of the Lord has departed. Heaven is silence. Phinehas is Eli's son. In chapter 3, God told Eli because he failed to discipline his sons, his priesthood would not continue. Eli's priesthood ended with the death of Eli and his son. An ephod was something like a vest. It was used to determine the will of God in a particular situation. It seems that Saul is waiting on some kind of divine guidance. Maybe he was just reluctant to go into battle with so few men. Either way, heaven is silence. Saul has a heavenly cell phone, but he has no service. That's why he didn't know that Jonathan was gone. In verse 4, and between the passage by which Jonathan sought to go over to the Philistine garrison, there was a sharp rock on one side and a sharp rock on the other side. And the name of one was Boozy, and the name of the other one was Sinew. The sharp rocks was cliff with a valley between them. One was called Boozy, meaning shining, and the other one was called Sinew, meaning thorn. This geographical area is still in Israel today. I looked at it last night. It was a very beautiful place. Very beautiful place. 5, the forefront of the one was situated northward over against Michmash, and the other one southward over toward Gibeah. Michmash is where the Philistine army was located. Gibeah is where Saul and his 600 men are located. Michmash is present-day Mukmas, Mukhmas. It's located 7 miles north of Jerusalem. Gibeah is present-day Tel El-Ful, Tellel, capital Ful. It's located in northern Jerusalem. And here's the picture. Gibeah is here. That's where Saul and his army is located in Gibeah. Michmash is here. It's where the Philistine army is. So what Jonathan has to do, he has to go down the cliff from Michmash. The cliff is called Boozy. At the bottom of the cliff is a ravine. He has to go back up the cliff to Michmash, where Saul's army is, and that cliff is called, what did I say it called? Sinew, okay? That's the picture that's being painted here. You got Michmash here with Gibeah here with Saul and his army, and you got the Philistine here. And Jonathan will go down the ravine and come back up the ravine is the picture. Roman numeral 2. An audacious plan, 6 through 10. An audacious plan means to show a willingness to take a bold risk. And Jonathan said to the young man that bore his armor, "Come, let us go over to the garrison of these uncircumcised. It may be that the Lord will work for us. For there is no restraint to the Lord to save by many or by few." The term circumcised, this term uncircumcised, was a distinctive title for all Gentiles who did not share a distinctive mark of God's peoples under the old covenant. To be circumcised says that you are a part of God's covenant family. It says that you have a contract with God. To be uncircumcised says that you are not a part of God's family and that you do not have a contract with God. That's Genesis 17:10 through 14. For us today, we are under the new covenant. Jeremiah 31:31. Paul said, our circumcision is of the heart. Romans 2:29, it refers to having a pure heart separated unto God. Our covenant is found in Romans 10:9-10. If you confess with your mouth that Jesus is Lord and believe in your heart that God raised him from the dead, you will be saved. It may be that the Lord will work for us. Jonathan is saying, I don't know what God is going to do. He may work for us. He may not work for us. But sitting around doing nothing is not an option. James said that faith without works is dead. Having faith in God does not mean that you will know the outcome of a matter. Jonathan was simply putting his faith in the power of God. The three Hebrew boys told King Nebuchadnezzar, our God may deliver us from the fiery furnace. He may not deliver us from the fiery furnace. But one thing that we do know, he's able. The word restraint is a measure or condition that keeps someone or something under control or within limits. Jonathan understood one thing about God, that one with God is a majority. Jonathan remembered what Samuel told the nation in chapter 12, verse 22. For the Lord will not abandon his peoples on account of his great name. Alethea, I think this is a word for us today. The Lord will accomplish his purpose by many or by few. God do not need a whole lot of folks to get done what he wants done. For the Lord will not abandon his peoples on the account of his great name. When God do something, no one else can get the credit. All the glory is his. 2 Kings 19:35. King Hezekiah was under attack by the Assyrian army. That night, God sent one angel. He killed 185,000 Assyrian soldiers. God waited until Sarah was 90 years old when she bore Isaac, so that Abraham could not get the credit. 7. And his armor bearer said unto him, do all that is in thine heart. Turn thee. Behold, I am with thee according to thy heart. Jonathan secured the armor bearer commitment to stay with him. 8. Then said Jonathan, behold, we will pass over unto these men, and we will discover ourselves unto them. They have reached the bottom of that ravine between the two cliffs. Jonathan makes himself known to the Philistine. 9. If they say to us, tarry until we come to you, then we will stand still in our place and will not go up to them. The plan is, if they say, stay where you are, Jonathan knows they are in trouble. 10. But if they say to us, come up to us and we will go up, then we will go up. For the Lord has delivered them into our hands, and this shall be a sign unto us. Roman numeral 3, a conclusive victory. God is getting ready to bring this matter to an end. 11. And both of them discovered themselves unto the garrison of the Philistine, and the Philistines said, behold, the Hebrews have come forth out of the holes where they have hid themselves. When Jonathan and his armor bearer revealed themselves to the Philistine, they began to make jokes. And the men of the garrison answered Jonathan and said, his armor bearer, and said, come up to us, and we will show you a thing. And Jonathan and his armor bearer came up after me. For the Lord has delivered them into our hands. When the Philistines said, come up to us, and we will show you a thing, this was Jonathan's confirmation that the Lord had delivered the Philistines into his hands. 13. And Jonathan climbed upon his hands and upon his feet, and his armor bearer after him. And they fell before Jonathan, and his armor bearer slew after them. Jonathan and his armor bearer trust in God to a point where they was willing to put their lives in God's hand. He honored their faith by giving them victory over the Philistines. And that will end our lesson for today.